fasting, IV drips, weight loss injections. Sometimes it feels like wellness trends are arriving faster than we can process them. And while some might have benefits, others carry risks that aren't always obvious. So how do you figure out what's worth it, what's questionable, and what's just noise? In this episode, we'll sort through today's most popular health crazes with clarity and curiosity, so you can build a wellness path rooted in wisdom, not pressure. I'm Dr. Stacie Stevenson, the Wellness Detective. Let's get started.
Our first question comes from Lydia, who lives in Boulder, Colorado. She wrote, "Hi, Dr. Stacie. Are those weight loss shots like Ozempic really safe long-term?"
Well, the GLP-1 inhibitors and so-called weight loss shots, they do work. By work, if you mean, are you going to lose weight? Most likely, not a guarantee. Results do vary on everyone. Some people men, as usual, respond better than women. Big surprise there. With all weight loss and all seems like fitness programs, there's that disparity. But they will decrease the scale weight. Unfortunately, it is indiscriminate, meaning you're going to lose muscle mass, you're going to lose fat, you're probably going to lose bone mass, you're going to lose, and you can't predict. It's completely unpredictable. In fact, predictably unpredictable that you're going to lose a lot of that tissue where you don't want to lose it. So the real question is, if you proceed on the weight loss medications, particularly the injections, you probably will achieve a result. I mean, there's cost, there's injection, there's the different application methods, there's how much advice you get from your doctor or your provider. If I were really talking about that, I would say the part that I don't like that can easily be fixed is that they do blunt your hunger really well. Really, really, really well. It cut down that food noise of thinking about food, of what's in the refrigerator or what you're going to have or when, blah, blah, all of those. We didn't used to call it food noise, but I kind of like this word food noise, that it's just that idea that you're thinking about food or a snack, or you really shouldn't be hungry, but you think you're hungry. It cuts all that down incredibly. And it also, interestingly, makes alcohol not so fun, which I really like as well. So those are really neat side benefits that I think are wonderful. The downside to not being hungry or not even thinking about food, or maybe even forgetting about food, is you may not nourish yourself enough, just minimally. So the recommendation is that to eat about half of your normal intake, as that's a benchmark that usually when you start on the medications, your provider will say, shoot for about half your typical caloric intake and prioritize protein. And what that means is don't just eat toast and crackers and bread and whatnot, because that's carbohydrate, or just fruit or just veggies. You need more protein. And the reason they're telling you to eat more protein is the medications tend to create protein loss. In other words, loss of your muscle mass. Women really, really can't afford that, because then you have bone density loss. Men can probably weather that storm a lot better. They can build muscle a lot better. So they'll tell you to prioritize protein, but you still need to balance your overall carbohydrate, fat, and protein intake. And then you have to exercise. And you're not really exercising per se to lose the weight. You're exercising to maintain your metabolism, because your metabolism will slow down the less you eat. It's not really the medication. It's the fact that your body reads that you're now eating 50% less calories or 30% less calories, and it will adjust its basal metabolic or its metabolic utilization in kind. That will go down, and that's very slow, and it's very hard to rev back up in conjunction with loss of muscle mass, because muscle mass contributes substantially to your metabolic rate. So you kind of have these multiple things that start convening against you. So you've got to do weight training, and you've got to still balance the calories that you are eating, so that you also have literally physical energy to work and do your daily life. If you just starve yourself, you'll You'll lose some weight, but that's just sort of like being sick. So just remember, you have to nourish yourself, you have to eat protein, and you need to do some weight training.
Next question comes from Colette from Savannah, Georgia. I've tried intermittent fasting. Does it actually help with longevity, or is it just another diet?
I like intermittent fasting. I think it's really a natural way of resting your digestive system and resting your body, actually. And here's really why I like intermittent fasting. One of the few anti-aging concepts that is pretty well proven. In other words, there's one that consistently over some decades we've known about, and that is caloric restriction does contribute to longer life. And it's probably as simple as the fact that you use your organs less. So less food means, and it's 20%. It's basically been analyzed somewhere between 20 and 30% reduced caloric intake over long periods of time do contribute to a longer lifespan. That's one of the few true anti-aging hacks, or biohacks as people might call them. We all know I don't like that word biohacks, but that's the only one that I know currently has some legitimacy, but that's not a hack. It's just the truth. If you're using your digestive system less and you're using your liver less and you're having to expend all that detoxification as well on the food, you just have organ reserve. It's the same as having a car that's 40 years old, but you didn't drive it very much every year. It looks better, basically, right? I don't know if it runs better. You still have to maintain it, but you get the concept, right? There's no wear and tear on the leather and the upholstery and the steering wheel and things like that. That happens with your body. Digestion is a labor-intensive activity for your body, which is exactly why you don't get hungry when you're stressed. When you're stressed, you either get overly hungry or underly hungry. You know why? That's fight or flight. So when you're stressed, you're going to go into fight or flight. You don't get hungry when you're sick. You know why you don't get hungry when you're sick? Because your body is focusing on immune function, and it just calms everything down. You're not supposed to get hungry at night. That's fasting alone. We naturally fast when we sleep. That rests all of your systems. So to me, intermittent fasting is just a new name for a combination of a little bit of caloric restriction, which has wonderful anti-aging benefits, and improving organ reserve, so just using your organs less. And no, I don't think it's a fad at all. I think it's been practiced for a long time, because you could call, fasting on Sundays, technically, you could call that intermittent fasting, or you could just call that, you eat 6 out of 7 days a week. That's very common in cultures that have extreme longevity. The only people that struggle with the intermittent fasting have blood glucose dysregulation troubles, and they probably really can't do it. But that's really about it.
Sabrina from Dover, Delaware asked, Dr. Stevenson, do IV vitamin drips actually work, or are they just expensive trends?
No, I know IV drips and IV treatments have been around for a really long time. It kind of cracks me up when these trends are considered new when they're not. What really happens is they just get more available and become more in the consciousness. So IV therapies have been used for chelation, for nutrition, for replenishment. There's been ozone therapy. What else? Gosh. Myers cocktails have been around for over 30 years. Gabby Wright mixtures, that's 20, 30-year information to support the adrenal glands. They traditionally were available more in very, I would say, almost like cottage industries of doctors like me that were just doing their best work and word of mouth and doing what they knew was correct, but they weren't big commercial organizations. And now it's just become a big commercial organization. And I think the funniest was when people think it can cure a hangover. So the only thing that they're curing is hydration, which I like it. And I don't know. I've seen the prices come down. I think it's good that it all exists. The piece that you want to be armed with is what I do find is, because I sometimes go myself to sort of check out what their offerings are. You will notice that the milligrams and the quantities of a lot of the nutrients are pretty low. And so you're really just getting a lot of hydration. And if you know more what you want in your, or you have someone like me guiding you to what you want in your cocktail, like let's say an example, you might go and say you want this hangover cure and you're reading the menu and you see that it has only 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Well, like, good luck with that. Or if they call that immune support, like, you need to ask, could I have 5,000? Could I have 10,000? And what they'll usually have to do is call their medical director and see if they can increase it. And sometimes their guidelines require, in their state or their medical director or whatever, just won't do it. But that's the thing. I think if I like the methylcobalamin injections. I think it's great that people can get those. You can do those at home very easily, by the way. The downstroke on IV is it does scar your veins. So if you get that weekly or you're really, really into it, you do need to move around a lot because your veins can't heal fast enough if you're frequently doing those things. I don't know. I would use them maybe when you really have like a cold, flu, super run down. I wouldn't use them as a hangover cure.
Our next question comes from Daniela from Richmond, Virginia. I heard saunas are good for the heart. Is that true?
Well, there's dry sauna, wet sauna, infrared sauna, blah, 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 blah. Herbal saunas, there are all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, mostly a warm sauna just makes you sweat, which is really healthy, but it does raise your heart rate. You can have shifts in blood pressure. Saunas can be something we would recommend that if you do have cardiac struggles or irregular arrhythmias or blood pressure struggles, we probably wouldn't want you in severe saunas, or I would only want you in there just a little, 10 minutes or something, such a short period of time that it's not really going to do anything except warm you up a bit. But the focus of saunas with heat has always been more of a detoxification concept, literally making you sweat. And that's good. That's actually a good thing. I mean, that's thousands of years old wisdom. Yeah. Let's talk infrared another time. It's not really a sauna, it's a treatment.
Gloria from Salem, Oregon has this question about trends. Is ice bathing better than using heat for recovery?
Ice bathing versus heat for recovery. Well, you know what? There's a bunch of rules, but here will be my rules on ice versus heat. Number one, if you have any question, if you're asking yourself ice versus heat, then choose ice because ice won't hurt you. There's essentially no chance the ice is going to hurt you. Heat could impair your healing and increase the inflammation and actually slow the whole thing down and actually even increase your pain. You won't notice it in the moment. So then the other thing you can always do is alternate. So if you just like the heat and it just feels nice and it's comforting, always start with ice, then heat, and end with ice. It's only moist heat that can be helpful. It's basically only for kind of sore muscles. Don't overuse heat on sore joints. It makes it all worse. It feels good in the moment, but ultimately makes it worse. And it should be moist heat, which is not easy to do alone at home. It's not that easy. So I would just always opt for ice or cold. It doesn't have to be completely ice, but products that are more cooling for sure. I don't like heat products. I don't like heated patches. I don't like heating pads. Yeah, really, I don't like any of that heat stuff. it's going to inflame the joints. It's going to make more swelling, and it's going to make more pain in the end. So when in doubt, choose cold.
Next question is from El Paso, Texas. Sabrina asks, is all this biomarker tracking, like blood glucose, sleep scores, HRV, actually healthy or too much?
I like biomarker tracking, actually, because I think it removes some of the mystery and reduces anxieties. Because I think one of the toughest things about these simple biometric numbers are just not knowing. I mean, we transformed blood pressure management when people got to have blood pressure cuffs at home. Like that literally changed the likelihood of strokes, meaning reducing it. So we darn well know that anything someone can do easily, consistently, effectively, and that the instructions don't make the test variable that you do. I mean, all you have to do is wear the wearable and read your phone. That's kind of foolproof. So that's fairly consistent. It's reliable. It's accurate information, and it's immediate. All of those things contribute to reducing people's anxiety about their health. Do I believe that I want to know all of my biomarker tracking? Hell no, I don't want to know. I don't want to know it all day. That's not worth it to me personally, but would I track my sleep? Yes. If I were having, I think I am going to say this. I've noticed that tracking sleep seems to give people a lot of relief because you really don't have a way to understand how you slept. We do know from studies that your reported sleep, like, oh, I got 4 hours, or oh, I got 6 hours, or oh, I slept 12 hours. For whatever reason, it's probably just how our brain is wired. We will basically over-report the sleep because you're not conscious. So if you knew, if you thought you were, oh, I'm only getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, and oh, that's terrible, and it leads to heart disease and all these terrible things, and then you learned that you actually are getting 6 or 7, you'd probably feel a lot better. So I like that. People like their sleep tracking. I like blood glucose tracking because that really aids in your body composition management. It helps certainly if you lean into hypoglycemia or you don't feel so great. You need to remind yourself to eat. People need to remind themselves sometimes. The cardiac tracking I love for exercise because exercise physiology is very clear when you're in your zone of burning calories, muscle building, fatigue. I think that's brilliant information to have rather than guessing. I don't know. There's not a lot I don't like. If you value it, I think it's available, it's inexpensive, it's consistent, it's easy to use, and it's accurate. I like it.
One last question from Amelie, who lives in Spokane, Washington. How accurate are fitness trackers when it comes to calories burned?
That one's a little tougher because caloric burning, when you're using a tracker, whether it's an armband, whether it's a ring band, whether it's chest, whether it's reading on your, maybe you're using a treadmill and you're reading it there, wherever you're reading it, this is how you use those. Use it as a relative amount. So if you were doing your workout and it read that you burned 300 calories, well, I don't know, maybe you only burned 240. However, use it relatively. By 3 weeks, now you see you've increased your workout and now it says you're burning 450. You know that you just burned 150 more. That's how I would use those trackers. I wouldn't get too mixed up in their lack of accuracy. They've gotten a lot better, but it's not easy to account for everybody's different basal metabolic rates, gender. I mean, I know you enter gender, height, weight, BMI, BMR, muscle. I'm going to go out on a limb. I haven't read a recent study, but I'm going to just guess because I've been looking at caloric tracking and testing it in my office for decades, it's probably accurate within 15 to 20%. I think that's kind of nice to have something at home that gives you an idea or that's a wearable. I don't think we need to split hairs that everything has to be perfect. It's just caloric tracking. Like, you don't need to get too obsessive about it. If you're making your goals and you're headed in the right direction and you're feeling better and you want to know today I burned 400 and tomorrow I was able to burn 600, great. Use it that way. Don't get so obsessed with it. Trends may come and go, but your health is not a passing fad. True wellness is about listening deeply to your body, weighing your options wisely, and choosing what supports you, not what's shiny or new. My hope is that today's episode gave you the tools to think critically and the courage to make health decisions with clarity. If it did, please share this with a friend, subscribe, and visit me on drstaciestevenson.com. And let's keep building a community of informed, empowered wellness detectives together. Until we meet again, I'm Dr. Stacie Stevenson, encouraging you to stay thoughtful, stay curious, and keep seeking your own vibrant health.